Hello again, this is Stephen Dupree of NowEnergetics.com based on YUEN Method. Welcome back to my channel. Thought I'd go over another article that I've written recently. It's kind of related to having sessions. You know, we all learn some parts of the method or learn neutrality, and sometimes we have sessions with people. And even experienced practitioners, sometimes they have some other things that they need to clear in their energy they may not be aware of. You know, we're blind to many of these energetic effects that we haven't cleared in our own energy. So sometimes we can't necessarily see them in other people, even though we're attracting these people to us sometimes, just to remind us that we have that same weakness. So this is an article, kind of a funny article I wrote not too long ago, that I haven't quite published it yet. I still have to polish it up, but it's like related to kind of the fact that we have to have a sense of humor in this work, because a lot of times, you know, the kind of issues that we run into are really more prominent in our own energy than in the client that is coming to us for some kind of session or help or whatever. So the article is called "Oh, It's Me." So this is kind of when you get deeper into a session with someone and you realize the problem that is occurring, the reason why they can't perceive a change, or the reason why something is clearing is because something that's happening in our energy. So it's our, you know, we're kind of the problem energy in the situation. And it's important to always be open and neutral enough to know that that could be a particular possibility or scenario that can happen in a session. That again, like I said, if you have some weaknesses in your energy and you project that out, you're more likely to attract people with a similar weakness. So, and again, it may be such that you can detect that in someone else's energy, but because you're projecting out that energy as well, it's not really allowing them, the client, to be able to perceive the change that's already shifted them, but you haven't been shifted. You know, you've already, so you want to also clear yourself, especially if you profile it and you're the major influence. And you could be, you know, you could be the kind of tuning fork effect that is keeping someone from actually noticing a difference. So that's kind of what I go over here. And I couldn't find a good picture, but this is kind of the best one that I could find. It's like, oh no, it's me. So it's that kind of, you know, that kind of reaction that you get when you just have that sinking feeling and then you realize that you're the problem. So I'll just go through this particular blog article, but you know, it's that sinking feeling that you have in a session that you know, things aren't changing, the person's not perceiving something, you're going through all the perception blocks, and the last thing in the Swiss Army knife is, can it be me? And if it is, it's like, wow, you know, what are you going to tell the person, you know, of what's going on? And if you're honest with them, you say, well, I'm going to clear that in both of our energies at this point, because it looks like we both have this weakness. So you could do that, or you could just do it silently, however you want to do it. But the important thing here is it's our influence that's creating the problem, and we need to be able to be open enough and neutral enough to know when we've gone through every tool in our Swiss Army knife, that the last one can be our energy. So and so and I, you know, kind of the idea I have here is that if you haven't run into this, then you haven't done enough work, because you're going to run into this problem of actually projecting out the kind of energy that's blocking the client from noticing a shift. So it's important to realize that we're not perfect. We also have things that we're clearing in our energy, and we have more work to do on ourselves as well. So our own influence effect as practitioners is most likely to occur working with family members. Well, that's most common, but you know, you could attract strangers too as clients that may have the same weakness, right? So you're projecting out that energy, that weakness, and it's more likely you're going to attract that, you know. And it could be related to karmas, and it may not be related to karmas. It may just be that it's a common energy, you know, but it's something that you want to check if you sort of notice that you have that same energy or energetic effect. So, and you know, when we talk about the collective energy, you know, we can be the tuning fork for that collective energy too, if we have that weakness. So just be aware of that. And I wouldn't be, you know, my feeling is it's kind of embarrassing, but you want to be embarrassed for like 1 second. You know, you want to stay neutral and you say, well, what the heck, you know, and move on to clearing your own energy, right? Go right into the clearing and move on. You know, you don't want to hang there with some kind of, you know, feeling of inadequacy or something. You know, you have a weakness, you have to clear. That's it. And then move on with the session. So it's a really, you know, I call it kind of a fist pump moment here when you realize that you can detect when you're influencing a situation as well. I think that's that's kind of a sign of maturity, in my opinion, in the method, that you can find these kind of things in your own energy in the middle of a session. So, and so you want humor, you want your own humility this to stick out in this particular situation. So, um, so time weaknesses come up fairly often, and for a practitioner that's fairly new with the method, you have to be very sensitive to your own time weaknesses, because when we project those weaknesses out, we create sort of a countdown timer or aspirin, what I call the aspirin effect, the wear off effect, where something might clear for a certain amount of time and then come back. Or the opposite of that would be the timer effect, where you move on, you can't clear a particular issue and you move on, and you're projecting out a 4 weakness, and 4 days later is when, or 4 hours later is when they actually notice a difference, right? So that was your energy being projected out, but you didn't know that you still had some kind of abstract time weakness that may be affecting the clearing of that person, or the perception of the person in time of something, of a change that's already taken place, right? So they had to wait the 4 hours, the 4 days to actually notice a difference. And maybe they've already gone to another practitioner and they get all the credit for your work, right? Because you didn't clear the time weakness that you were projecting out. So that's very, very common thing. And it can be very, very nuanced, the different types of time weaknesses that we may have that may be intertwined with a similar story in another client that we're working with. So we have to be ready and neutral to detect that kind of weakness. Okay. And you want to be patient with your insights, and notice when something isn't clearing, that there's something off and that you need to dig a bit deeper, and maybe not so much deep as, in the sense of complexity, but just something that is more abstract in your own energy that may be projecting out, that could influence the situation. It could even be the feng shui of where you are when you do the session, or it could be the feng shui of where the client is, where they've done their session. And the feng shui, to me too, could be energy they've pulled in even in the last day or two, because they went to the massage therapist or somewhere, just pick an office, dentist office, whatever. People pick up energies from where they visit as well. So feng shui isn't just, kind of what we think of in the classic sense of home, but we can pick up these energies from other places, and then we bring them into our own residence or places we visit, things like that, or we pick them up from places we visit. So just be aware of that. So what I'm saying here, when we look at the life influences pentagon, of where the influences could be, ancestors, descendants, so on, the usual pentagon effects, we have to remember that we're in that mix too. We're in that soup of humanity along with everybody else and everyone's ancestors. So don't forget to at least have that, put that tool in your Swiss Army knife to check for. And the way I kind of profile this too is, even if you're an experienced practitioner, you're going to have a certain number of your clients that are going to trigger you, and they trigger you, and they're actually helping you identify your own issues, right? Because they're resonating with your weaknesses. And when you have some reaction to a clearing or something like that, it's more likely that you have some resonance with that, because you have that in your own energy. And it could be your energy, it could be influences from the usual places, the ancestors, descendants, feng shui, environment, so on. So you just have to be aware of that. And to me, it can happen as much as a quarter of the time. So it's important to acknowledge that, and to not so much put that in your thoughts or your list of things to check, but just be aware that that could be a common place for a particular weakness to kind of amplify a situation or tamp down a situation where someone can't perceive a change in something that you've shifted in their energy. And it always, of course, depends on the situation. And, anytime we clear these me effects, we're actually doing a favor for ourselves and also for the client as well. So we're actually strengthening ourselves, and we're going to make ourselves more neutral, and we're going to be a better practitioner in the next session with having that particular energy cleared. We're going to have a clearer insight, and the shifts for the particular client are going to be more quick and without any perception block. So that's what we want. So that's, this is kind of a short article. It's something that comes up quite a bit. And I wrote another article, I think, in one of the Facebook posts that are similar to this here, where we have to be aware sometimes that we are the catalyst both in change and with something staying stuck as well. We have to realize that we could be either, and we have to be neutral enough to be able to detect that when it comes up. So this is it's me. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.